Ladies and gents, how are you doing? I'm here outside the White House today doing some special roving reporting on a frankly shockingly cringe incident at the White House today. As we can see here, David Lammy has just announced that he is delighted to be back in Washington DC supporting Keir Starmer. As there is no relationship closer, I am quoting him, than that of the UK and the US. Together, we will continue to do great things for our shared security and growth. Thank you, POTUS and JD Vance, for your gracious hospitality. Now, British people have well been aware that our extremely sweaty, deeply unpleasant Home Secretary is perhaps one of the most dishonest and disingenuous people in global politics. When it suits him, he identifies as a full-blown Rwandan and demands reparations for his people while he's on the road. But whenever he gets sat in front of an audience back in England, why then he's as English as Alf Garnett apparently. So for this special report, I'm going to go through some of the things that Mr. Lammy has tweeted and publicly said about JD Vance and Donald Trump. I'll also touch on our extremely creepy, authoritarian, closeted homosexual android Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. And by the end of it, you will come to the inevitable conclusion that David Lammy is the most two-faced man in global politics. There is one advantage to that, however. Judging by the unbelievable, cringe, fawning posts that he's since put up about himself and Donald Trump, there is an advantage to being the most two-faced man in global politics. And that's because, as he's got two faces, he can suck Trump's big orange cock while simultaneously whistling Dixie. Okay, ladies and gents, this is brilliant. David Lamtron, the sweatiest man in politics. You remember when Donald Trump had to go at Marco Rubio and said he perspires too much? Stand him next to David Lammy, and Marco Rubio looks like a bloke who deserted from the Foreign Legion and spent 3 days walking through the Sahara with no water. He looks like a dehydrated cranberry stood next to David Lammy. But anyway, let's just look at some of his most recent comments about Donald Trump, shall we? The man he's currently fawning all over. Deluded, dishonest, xenophobic, narcissistic, Donald Trump is no friend of Britain. He's not fit to hold public office, let alone worthy of our country's highest honours and a banquet with the Queen. Theresa May is selling out the UK to a serial liar and a cheat. And he's just hand-delivered a letter inviting Donald Trump to a second state visit, and it's the only time it's ever happened in world history. He's the only bloke who's going to get 2 state visits. So, is there anything more humiliating? Saying things like that, and then turning up with a letter and bowing and scraping and inviting him to another state visit whilst simultaneously muffing out JD Vance's dirt box. James S. posted this one as well. Yes, we've all seen what you think of POTUS. You're an embarrassment to the UK. Let's have a listen.
A president who would line up with neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan, and in so doing spit on the graves of men and women who died fighting fascism in the Second World War.
Really, David, that is disgraceful. Equating normal, run-of-the-mill politicians to fascists all the time is spitting in the faces of every person that was ever tossed out of a helicopter or buried alive by Benito Mussolini, for example. Every victim of those people you are spitting on when you call every single person who politely disagrees with you a November Alpha Zulu India, or equate them to some of the most genocidal people in history. You're an embarrassment. Also, why is there always someone doing sign language next to woke people? Why? I'm not having a pop at the deaf. I think we should try and help the deaf out, but it's a bit weird when you're at a public speaking event like that. How many people is she serving there, signing? It's a bit daft when they put them on the telly, but at least I can see them when they're on the TV. The Mark I human eyeball can only make out sign language up to about 30 yards, so how many people is it serving? I've paid someone to stand there signing behind Lamtron. The people with fully functioning ears don't want to listen to what he has to say, so what do you want to stitch up the disabled for as well? Here's a good one from Keir Starmer. An endorsement from Donald Trump tells you everything you need to know about what is wrong with Boris Johnson and why he isn't fit to be Prime Minister. Yeah, I would say that reading your posts and listening to your public statements over the last 5 years about Donald Trump and then watching you bow and scrape and suck up to the big man himself, I'd say that says a lot more about you than anything you've tweeted about Boris Johnson. That tells us that you are the most greasy, slimy, dirty, lying, dishonest, four-flushing, scum-sucking sack of rats that's ever sat in Downing Street. Basically, you're a squatter in a suit. Oh yeah, and incidentally, did you see how he was sat? The Last True Roman tweeted about it. President Trump sits next to noted swine and traitor Keir Starmer. Starmer, who was prosecuted and jailed hundreds of his own people for simply expressing opposition to his policies, appears awkward. Trump, on the other hand, appeared confident, emasculating Starmer. Emasculating him? Look at him there, with his legs crossed like an old woman and his hands on his knees. What a loser. The last time Starmer sat like that, it was in a hotel room watching two sailors tag team his missus. And here's another good one. Regarding the Daily Mail story today, yes, if Trump comes to the UK, I will be out protesting on the streets. He is a racist cake of all the same old bollocks. Get a proper job, David. And someone's tweeted that AI generated photo, which is going to be uncanny in a couple of months, because if you missed that story, a story was going around about David Lammy spending over £500,000 on restaurants and bars. And obviously the Independent fact-checked it, because the Independent is a lying left-wing woke rag that constantly runs defence for anybody that despises Britain and the people that live in it. In his defence, that was for his department, but at the end of the day, smashing over £500,000 on food and drink, basically proper posh food and expensive wine and booze, when you're supposed to be trying to paint yourself as a man of the people, is just bog standard Labour hypocrisy that we've all come to expect for them these days, especially a fat, sweaty hypocrite like David Lamtron there. Anyway, I think that's going to do me for the day. Possibly the most humiliating day in David Lammy's career, and there's plenty to pick from on account of the fact he's got the IQ of a chicken McNugget. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you think David Lammy's just doing good politics, bless him, and he's looking out for you and the kids, please let me know in the comments so I can add you to the special assistance list. And I'll send a couple of sign language experts and some nice nurses round your house as well. All right? Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be doing a live stream from home tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK or 11 a.m. California time. So I'll see you all then. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.